भारतीय संशोधनाची विशेषतः मर्यादित संसाधने वापरून गुंतागुंतीच्या समस्येचे निराकरण करणे, काटकसरीचे नवोन्मेष, तात्पुरते उपाय आणि लवचिकता व वेग यातून अपारंपरिक शोध असतो व त्यालाच जुगाड असे संबोधू शकतो, असे मत केम्ब्रिज विद्यापीठातील नेहरू प्रोफेसर ऑफ इंडियन बिझनेस ॲट जज बिझनेस स्कूलचे प्राध्यापक व लेखक जयदीप प्रभू यांनी व्यक्त केले. फ्युएल बिझनेस स्कूलच्या वतीने आयोजित कार्यक्रमामध्ये केम्ब्रिज युनिव्हर्सिटीचे प्राध्यापक लेखक जयदीप प्रभू लिखित लिन्स्पार्क या पुस्तकाच्या प्रकाशनाच्या वेळी ते बोलत होते. यावेळी फ्युएल ग्रुप ऑफ इन्स्टिट्यूटचे संस्थापक आणि अध्यक्ष डॉक्टर केतन देशपांडे, प्राध्यापक मयुरी देशपांडे उपस्थित होत्या.
पंजाबी में, तेलुगु में, कन्नड़ा में. Support from Stanford. They tested it in the hospital. They were ready to commercialize it, but at that point, they didn't have a sales force to commercialize it. So what did they do? They partnered with GE Healthcare. They signed a non-exclusive license.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed an honor, as I said. I wanted to give you a small keynote before we interact with Professor Jaydeep, and I was in Bombay yesterday. We had a very great presentation and discussion on the innovation which he will share in his presentation. But it will be a very great learning for all of you. And I thought that I should also share with you what our nation is doing. So got a chance, so I said, Professor Jaydeep, I will share what Fuel is doing through innovation lens. So rarely does a nation experience such a powerful convergence. Political stability, reform momentum, and technology at scale, and infrastructure growth, and most importantly, a young population. So this is not just India's decade, but this is India's century. India has set an ambitious goal to become a $30+ trillion economy, but this goal will not be achieved by policy alone, or by capital alone, or by technology alone. It will be achieved by the people, and more specifically by the skilled young people. And that's why Fuel's work is so relevant for skilling young people and training them to get into right jobs. So my question to you is, if you take this frugal innovation in mind, what are some of the things these students can do to partner for increasing their skills, salaries, jobs, something which we saw the model for the large organizations and small ones. Similarly, youth with large resources and youth with very minimum resources. Any analogy you would like to give?
Yes. It's a very good question, a wonderful question. And I think, the key message of frugal innovation is work with what you have, right? Don't try to, don't worry about things that you don't have, because you don't have them. And actually thinking about getting access to resources you don't have could be a pointless exercise. So see what you have got and use those to substitute for what you don't have. And even the poorest person in the world has resourcefulness. They have their human abilities, creativity, empathy, things like that. So you should never despair because you think you don't have material resources. If you have resourcefulness, you can get access to resource.
Idea or execution?
Execution.
Speed or perfection? Speed. Big funding or small startup?
Small startup.
Innovation in one word?
Jugaad.
My name is Shruti Chatterjee, and as I said, I come from the state of Jharkhand and from a farmer family with a very low income. Question is how do you think large corporations will adapt to our idea given that they already have their existing processes or structures?
The startup has got to a point by being very flexible, not so structured, etc. but then they're entering a big company that is very structured and has a lot of processes. So sometimes that can slow down the idea in the large company. So what sometimes companies do is they keep that startup kind of separate so that it can retain its culture, its processes and its structures, and just inject the resources into it. Cash or the brand or the design or whatever is needed to scale it.
माझं नाव डॉक्टर केतन देशपांडे, मी संस्थापक अध्यक्ष फ्युअल. आपल्याला सगळ्यांनाच माहिती आहे की फ्युअल ही संस्था विद्यार्थ्यांसाठी स्किल डेव्हलपमेंट आणि स्कॉलरशिपवर काम करते. आज आमच्याकडे प्रोफेसर जयदीप प्रभू, जे नेहरू प्रोफेसर आहेत युनिव्हर्सिटी ऑफ केम्ब्रिजमध्ये जज बिझनेस स्कूलमध्ये, जिथे मी पण शिकलो, ते आज आमच्याकडे आले होते आणि त्यांनी त्यांच्या लीन स्पार्क बुकबद्दल विद्यार्थ्यांना मार्गदर्शन दिलं आणि त्यात विद्यार्थ्यांनी कशी ग्रोथ करायला पाहिजे या संदर्भात सखोल मार्गदर्शन आज मिळालं. तसंच आम्ही जे भविष्यात स्किल टेक युनिव्हर्सिटी केली आहे फ्युअलची, त्याच्याबरोबर वेगवेगळे नवीन प्रोग्राम्स कसे करायचे, कसं मार्गदर्शन करायचं याबाबतीतही जयदीप प्रभू सरांनी आज आम्हाला सखोल माहिती दिली. त्यांचं जे पुस्तक आहे लीन स्पार्क, हे खरोखरच विद्यार्थ्यांना कशा रीतीने आयुष्यात पुढे जाता येईल, वेगवेगळे उदाहरणं देऊन छोटं इनोव्हेशन केलं तरी ग्रासरूटपर्यंत कसं पोहोचता येईल हे यामध्ये सांगितलं आहे.
My name is Jaideep Prabhu. I'm a professor of marketing and the Nehru Professor of Indian Business at Judge Business School, University of Cambridge. I have recently published this book with my co-authors, Priyank Narayan and Mukesh Sood. The book is called Lean Spark, Frugal by Design, Global in Impact. The book is an attempt to take the idea of Jugaad to the next level. In the book, we explore how Jugaad can be made scalable and sustainable. And there are 4 principles of lean execution, purposeful simplicity, adaptive scalability, and systemic sustainability that drive this approach. There are a number of cases in the book covering different sectors, from drones to EV to even culture. We have a chapter on ISRO, on AI, and digital public infrastructure. This is a guide for startups and large companies. When I started looking at innovation in emerging markets like India in 2008, 2009, I saw the approach was very different to Western approaches. People were very frugal, they were very flexible and inclusive. And we saw so many examples, and when we asked people how they would describe this approach, they always used the word Jugaad. So because of that, we then wrote a book called Jugaad Innovation. So I am a big believer in the value of education. Of course, you can learn in a classroom and from textbooks, but that is not the only way to learn, and that's not the only source of learning. A lot of learning happens by doing, by working with others and learning from others. And so my conviction is that students in Fuel or elsewhere to succeed must not only learn through books, they must learn from each other, and they must learn by doing, by trying, failing, picking themselves up and trying again.